The Life of Norman, narrated by Beardy Mike. Norman goes to Supercuts once every 2 weeks. He has a favourite hairdresser, Karen. She's great at using the buzzer. Karen was on vacation this week, but Norman still needed to get his hair cut. He was a bit nervous about seeing a new person. Norman thought back to the last time he took a risk when he bought Norman a new brand of food, which Norman seems to really enjoy. That turned out quite well, he thought as he got out of his car to walk towards Supercuts. This time, Sally cut his hair. She's good at the buzzer too. At the end, Norman was quite pleased with his new look. His sideburns were about a ½ centimetre longer than what Karen normally did. It made him feel quite risque. Norman tipped $5 instead of his usual $4 and decided he would request Sally next time. Friday finally arrived, and Norman entered the ice cream parlour for his weekly ice cream cone. Standing in front of the sea of different flavours, Norman pondered on his selection. He'd been having vanilla since as long as he could remember. Vanilla comforted him. "What will it be, sir?" asked the ice cream scooper. Norman started raising his hand to point his finger to vanilla, but then held back. He felt like taking a risk today. What was it that his colleagues were talking about that day at work? Ah yes, he remembered. New experiences are what make life worth living, one of them had said. He'd never thought about life that way before, and had spent the entire day thinking about it. So with that in mind, his eyes wandered all across the delicious offerings in front of him. Norman's eyes rested on one particular flavour. After a minute of looking at it, he finally pointed to it and said, "Mint chocolate chip, please." The ice cream scooper handed it to him, and Norman paid him. Norman examined the ice cream cone and turned it around in his hands. He knew what was at stake. If he didn't like this flavour, he would have to wait another week before he could eat ice cream. Norman was suddenly tense. This was an uncomfortable situation he had put himself in. Using all the courage he could muster, Norman gingerly took a little lick of this strange new ice cream. Norman frowned. He was confused. Norman then took a big bite of it. He stared straight ahead at nothing in particular while he decided if he liked it or not. Then he gave a slight smile and nodded at the ice cream scooper. "Thank you very much." Norman left the store and walked home, enjoying his ice cream and feeling proud that he had made a good decision. As soon as he reached home, he hurried over to his desk and opened the drawer. He removed his diary and flipped the page to the current date. Norman grabbed a pen off the desk and wrote "Mint chocolate chip" on the page. Norman didn't want to forget the name of this new flavour of ice cream that he'd enjoyed so much. Norman went to sleep that night giddy with excitement. He couldn't wait for the next Friday to come around when he would be able to enjoy his favourite flavour of ice cream for the second time. It was Sunday, the usual day for Norman to go grocery shopping. He carefully went down his list, checking off each item as he put it into his cart. The next item on his list was food for Norman. He walked over to the pet food aisle and found the usual bag of food that Norman liked. Right next to the food were cat treats. Norman usually didn't like to stray from his list, but Norman had been such a nice cat over the years that Norman decided he should show a little appreciation to Norman. Norman spotted a small bag of treats made by the same brand that made Norman's food. He decided on that one, but with tuna flavour. Norman felt a little giddy inside as he placed the bag in the cart. He was happy to get a little treat for his friend and hoped he liked it. When Norman got home, he unpacked his groceries, then opened the bag of treats. He grabbed one from the top of the bag and gave it to Norman. Norman sniffed it for a few seconds, then grabbed it from Norman's fingers and happily ate it. Oatmeal was a breakfast staple for Norman. It was a good way to start the day with some fibre and protein, and Norman enjoyed the taste. Of course, homemade oatmeal was healthier and cheaper than those sugar-filled instant packets, so on his weekly grocery run, Norman always made sure to purchase enough milk and oats to carry him through. One week, Norman was at the store, about to select his regular 2% milk brand, when he spotted something new out of the corner of his eye. It was a container that said oat milk on it. They make milk out of oats now? Norman thought. Times sure are changing. He picked up the container to investigate further. It did indeed appear to be milk made out of oats. Norman was about to put it back, but suddenly imagined himself purchasing it. He had to admit, he enjoyed the image it put into his mind. A fun, hip Norman who wasn't afraid to try out new and exciting things. Plus he was quite tickled at the idea of making oatmeal with oat milk. Double oats. Heart beating quickly, Norman put the container into his cart and wheeled away. Oat milk? How interesting, the cashier commented as he checked out, and Norman felt a glow of pride. It was interesting. The next morning, Norman woke up before his alarm. It was time to prepare his oatmeal. Norman felt happy, but a little nervous as he stirred in 1 cup of oats and 2 cups of oat milk. He watched carefully as it thickened, stirring regularly to make sure it didn't burn. Norman's stomach growled. When the oatmeal looked to be the proper consistency, Norman spooned it into his bowl, took it to the table and sat. It was the moment he'd been waiting for. With a rush of anticipation, Norman lifted the first spoonful to his mouth. It tasted extra oaty. Norman smiled. If you like this video, let me know by pressing the like button, or by leaving me a comment that goes into painful detail about your carnal relations with one of my cherished childhood heroes. For more of these videos, you can subscribe to this channel, as I aim to post 2 to 3 videos a week. Don't forget to let me know your favourite Norman stories, and I'll include them in future videos. As usual, you'll find links to the stories featured in the description below. Also included are links to the recording gear I use.